Hi, in this video, we'll continue to take a look at the payback periods. So if we have more projects, let's take a look at this one, for example. I have 5 years and I have 6 cash flows here. The initial investment is 500 here. And during the first year, I'm going to get repaid 400 here. And during the second year, 250, 10, and 10 for the rest of the years. So how do we calculate the payback period? So we need to reclaim that 500. So is it going to be reclaimed during the first year? No, that's only 400. Is it going to be reclaimed at the end of year 2? Not quite, because I would have accumulated 600 here. So I'll only need 100 out of that 200 from the second year to reclaim the initial 500. So the payback period should be 1 year plus 100 over 200, which is 1.5 years, or 1 year, 6 months. Okay, and as you can see here, we're kind of ignoring all the future cash flows here. So year 3, year 4, year 5, they're not entirely relevant to our payback period. So this is one of the major flaws of the payback periods. So let's take a look at another project here. Let's say project number 3, which is similar to project number 2. We have the same initial investment, which is 500, but the paybacks or the cash flows here are quite different. So during the first year, I have 200, second year, 200, third year, I have 600. So now you should be able to calculate the payback period quite easily. So we would need 2 years plus 100 over 600, because that's going to be repaid during the third year. Okay, and that's going to give me 13 over 6 years, or you can say 2 years and 2 months. Yeah, it's going to be the payback period for this project. So if we're choosing between these two projects based solely on the payback periods, we would choose the first one, which is 1.5 years. But as you can see, the first project here, or project number 2 here, it will pay us very little in the future, which is 50, 10, and 10. Compared to this one, it will pay us a lot more, which is 600, 700, and 900. So we're kind of missing out the opportunity here if we're only focusing on the payback period. So let's summarize the advantages or assumptions and the disadvantages of using payback periods. So the first assumption is that we're assuming linear cash flows, which is to say, we assume the cash flows are evenly spread out during the year. Okay, so if it's evenly spread out here, we can assume that this 600, for example, is paid in a very smooth way during the year. So we can use that 100 that we need to divide it by 600 that's been paid in this year. But is that realistic? It's not very realistic. You cannot assume that every moment you're getting repaid some of this money. Okay, and the second flaw, or a second remark for the payback period, is that it ignores the time value of money, which is the major flaw for this method here, because there's no discounting. So we're sort of skipping the first principle finance. So it's very rarely used due to this reason. But sometimes in several textbooks or in your university lectures, you will be provided with a discounted payback period. So you will be provided with a discount rate. So you can discount these cash flows and then work out a discounted payback period. So these numbers will be different because you'll be using the discounted cash flow here. Okay? But then if you're provided with a discount rate, why not just use NPV instead? Okay? And now the third thing here about the payback period is that it totally ignores any future cash flows. Okay? So the future is overlooked, as we have seen in these two examples. Okay, so when do we use payback periods, and when is it most suitable? So it's suitable for short projects when you only have like 1 or 2 years, and when your liquidity for the firm or cash is relatively more important than other aspects. Then you can choose to use the payback periods. Okay, so let's wrap up all these investment appraisal methods. We have the NPV, we have the IRR, we have the payback periods. So we still would prefer NPV above all, because that will give us the exact increase or the incremental increase in the investor's wealth. So that's the first rule. That's the go-to method when we're trying to do the investment appraisals. Okay, so when we're not sure about the discount rate, we can use the IRR to provide us with some sort of benchmark, but be aware that sometimes there might be no IRR, or might be multiple IRR, which will hinder its effectiveness. And the payback period is only useful when liquidity or cash is relatively more important than all other aspects. Okay, so now you should know all three major investment appraisal methods and be able to do the calculations. And I'll see you in future videos.